The anti-squatter law is now effective in Alabama. This makes it easier to remove a tenant who is not supposed to be in a home. News 4's Will Polston joins us in the newsroom. So, Will, how does this law work?
Well, Kinsley, to my understanding, this law cuts out the middleman and makes evicting people who are not supposed to be on property much easier. While it sounds like a win for the property owners, there are other laws in place in Alabama that could make for some conflicting issues.
With the enacting of House Bill 182, it just became easier for an Alabama property owner to remove someone who doesn't belong.
So that could be a true squatter, somebody who's just showed up and moved into your home.
Before the law was enacted, evictions would go through the courts if a tenant chose to stay. Farah Majid with Legal Services of Alabama says this new law acts as a fast track to removal.
This just makes it to where a homeowner wouldn't have to go through the court process, which of course is lengthy and costly. They essentially could just do an affidavit.
After the affidavit is served, instead of taking the case to the law would come to the property, removing the illegal tenant 24 hours after the tenant's affidavit expires. While it sounds like a win-win for homeowners, there's another Alabama law that Majid says could cause some issues for tenants.
Under Alabama law, you don't have to necessarily have a written lease agreement to be considered a tenant. So if you move into someone's home with a verbal agreement to pay a certain amount of rent, then you are considered a tenant, but you may not have something in writing to prove that you're a tenant. So that could potentially be an issue.
Now, luckily for a lawful tenant, there is some civil relief in the bill that does allow for the tenant to countersue if they are removed wrongfully. Kinsley?
Well, Polston, thank you. This law also makes squatting a Class C felony, punishable up to 10 years in prison.